And if Jake Tapper then had any credibility, they would resign because they were a willing participant lying to the American people, trying to influence elections. They're still doing it.
Egg prices have dropped, but that's bad for trans chickens. You know they're trans because they tuck their McNuggets. Oh. So remember the I word, inflation? Yeah, neither does the media, because it no longer works for them. And what about the stock market? The media had investors stepping out on a ledge, and not just to drop a water balloon on the homeless guy below. Tariffs were supposed to cause such an economic collapse that it convinced me to stop paying my riders. And what of the assertion that Trump would be a laughingstock on the global stage? Have you seen what's going on in the Middle East? They're giving him jets as a housewarming gift. Oh, Biden wasn't even worth a barf bag and an extra bag of Sun Chips. You know, it's weird how we're always right and the media's always wrong. If this were a marriage, they'd be the husband. But, yeah. But Americans are sick of it. A recent poll found that 49% of voters think media bias is getting worse, compared to just 11% who see it getting better. Meanwhile, 44% of voters agree with this statement. No matter how much you hate the media, it's not enough. You know, I have that same feeling, but it's for sharing an elevator with Brit Hume after he's had his sardine smoothie. Don't knock it, Greg. It's good. It's good for the prostate.
We gotta get it.
Really good for the prostate. Put it down my throat, comes out, great. But that's not just losing trust. That's burning down an entire industry and peeing on the ashes. And this hatred is bipartisan. Not just Trump bros and monster trucks playing Kid Rock at max volume. We're talking independents, centrists, even bored libs who keep getting let down because they're being led down the path of defeat. So it raises a new question. If we're tired of the media's lies, why aren't they tired of it too? I mean, I can understand a liar continuing to lie if it pays off. That's how I talk my way past the height restrictions on most roller coasters. But what if the filter you use keeps predicting the wrong outcome? Wouldn't you get tired of that? Wouldn't you go back to the drawing board when you see that it doesn't work anymore? It's like when I realized I can't keep firing my secretaries when they won't date me. Again, it's one thing to make millions selling swampland in Florida, but it's another thing to try to sell swampland, and it's you who ends up in the moss and the mud. The grift isn't just not working out on us, it's not working for them either. And surely by now the media and Dems have heard enough of the criticism. They're out of ideas, they're too woke, too disconnected from voters. But it's clear they still ignore it, because they haven't changed. But what they can't ignore is that the filter they're using to perceive reality predicts nothing except defeat and misery. Think of the mindset that led them to embrace the Maryland dad, that led them to think men could play in women's sports, that led them to think this corpse was conscious, or this clown could win. Their mindset led them to think parents would accept tampons in boys' bathrooms and drag queens in school libraries. I could go on, but then I would be late for my pole dancing class. Thank you. Reduces stress. I mean, imagine if you were a gambler and you had this system that picked horses, but every single time you lost. Wouldn't you dump your betting strategy? Or at the very least, pick up a healthier habit like meth? When your frame of reference leads to defeat at every turn, shouldn't you lose that frame of reference? You'd think they would, but so far they won't. When it comes to self-reflection, the media is less curious than Elton John around a stack of Playboys.
Yeah, folks, it's all about agenda. That's the only answer you've got left. I mean, you can point out how they continue to not change tactics, not change strategy, even when their ratings are tanking, they're having to lay people off. People are leaving their subscriptions. Why would a company continue to double, triple, quadruple down on a strategy that is continuing to lose? I think this just goes to show that the left wing, all this mainstream media, it just proves it even more that they are literally the propaganda arm of the far left and the uniparty. Because Why else would you continue to do all this? It's not about people's jobs or your brand or your shareholders or, any of that, because you're not changing the behavior. You're still continuing to push these obvious lies, BS, and propaganda. I think this just goes to absolutely prove that no matter what happens to these companies, this is literally what they are paid to do. This is all the deep state, the uniparty, the far left, whatever you want to call it, cares about. Just continue to pump out lies, because that is literally your people's job. Jake Tapper, all these fake journalists, they are not real. They are not paid to speak the truth at all. And the worst thing is they continue to gaslight everybody and have the gall, the arrogance to pretend as if they are actually still journalists. And everyone's just crazy if we think otherwise. It's just absolutely insane, the level of depravity that these people are willing to go to and how far they are willing to lie. But in my opinion, like I said, that just goes to show that they are paid for propagandists, and that's the agenda. You can let me know how you feel about it in the comments, whether or not you agree or disagree, or if you got a different opinion. But hit that like button if you're enjoying the video, and let's get back in.
No, the media is like a husband who's been caught cheating, and he has a girlfriend and a wife on the side.
And a wife?
On the side, yeah. And he got
2 wives.
he got caught.
You
He's got a girlfriend and a wife.
Don't correct me, Gutfeld. He's got a girlfriend and a wife on the side.
Okay.
I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
They both found out.
Right.
Okay? But in his mind, one of them will come back. So he doesn't have to change anything. So with the
That's
so the
good.
media isn't going to change because they still have somebody coming back to them.
Yes.
They're still in their bubble. When they tweet, they still get love from their little world. They're trying to get in front. What are they trying to do? And you pointed this out before anybody did, so I'll give you credit for this. They tried to point out physical things.
Yeah.
Oh, he was going to have to be in a wheelchair. And America's like, oh no. Ever heard of Governor Abbott?
Yeah.
He does a stand-up job in Texas.
Yeah.
So
It's true. Only the ableist would see that as an insult.
he does. He's always on his toes. The guy's good. But the point is, is that they still are the criminal in the corner trying to find a way to wiggle out. They're trapped. They're in a corner, but the American people aren't putting enough pressure on them, and they're still getting the blessings of the people who cut their checks. Because if this was a moment of awakening, if they were like, hey, this cover up and we're going to clean it up, the first thing they would do was fire every person on TV who pushed that to the American people.
Right.
That would be the first thing to do. And if Jake Tapper had any credibility, they would resign because they were a willing participant lying to the American people, trying to influence elections. They're still doing it. Even when Trump has a win, and I'm reading the horrible CNN article, it was like, well, at the time when he said eggs were coming down, they weren't down yet, so he lied, and then his lie turned into truth 48 hours later.
Yeah.
So he's still a liar. They're still doing that. They're still the one, it goes back to the cheating thing. You catch your wife cheating, and she's like, how dare you break into my phone?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of a person goes to my phone? You're sleeping with my brother. It's not about that. It's about trust. And you were in my phone. What gives you the right to be in my phone?
Yes.
Yeah, and Tyrus makes a great point. Like, these people are hiding in the corner like the criminals they are, somehow trying to weasel their ways out of this, even though they can't. Their brand is trash. Everyone can see what they obviously do. Like, they've already been exposed, but they got nowhere else to go. They can't bring in new readers. They can't bring in new people because they've just completely trashed themselves. So all they have left, all they've got left is to hold on to that woke bubble, because now they've put themselves in that corner and they have nowhere else to go. So basically, we're just going to watch the mainstream media lie themselves into oblivion because they've got nothing else. They have absolutely nothing else, folks. And Tyrus made a great point. I don't think enough people are putting enough pressure on this fake news industry, really calling them out, calling out the CEOs, the people who run these companies. You know, they need to all be getting called out constantly and have all their propaganda called out to their face. I think people just need to be loud about it and not let it go away, because otherwise they're just going to be like a fart in the wind, and they're just going to linger until they finally slowly just die out. But at least in the meantime, I guess it does make for good content. Folks, thanks for watching. Put down in the comments below what you thought about what Tyrus had to say, wrecking woke Jake Tapper and the rest of the fake news industria media complex in this video. Take care, like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.